Order. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr Speaker, New Zealand First believes in the use of public referendum, and we have for a long time. In 1997, some will recall that we put a referendum to New Zealand voters on a savings regime similar to Australia or Singapore. Sadly, it was voted down. 16 years later, we are broke and in the clutches of foreign banks and foreign money. We could have just rammed a bill through Parliament, but we went and took it to the people, and those are our bona fides on the issue of a referendum. We spent the better year debating Ms Wall's bill, and sadly the public are not much the wiser for it. In fact, there has hardly been a debate. What we've had is a small yet vocal minority telling the rest of New Zealanders that there is a law change that everyone wants, and anyone who disagrees has got to be a bigot. Then on the other side of the so-called debate, we've got those who would like to see the state police and the state police themselves police morality in the bedroom. The truth is that most New Zealanders sit somewhere in the middle. That might be tawdry and uncomfortable, but it's the way a society works. Some support the change, others do not. But their reasons for supporting or opposing it are never as sensationalist or extreme as some on either side would have us believe. No one really knows what side the majority of the public opinion sits on. Some claim, as Ms Wall and her supporters have, that there is a huge groundswell for change. Well, is that true? And if so, how do we know? As far as we're aware, the issue never came up at any of the meetings that we held in the 3 years out from the last election. Nobody lobbied us, no journalist called to ask where we sat on the issue. There was no word spoken on the campaign trail about same-sex marriage whatsoever. Now, it's not the issue, and Ms Wall has every right to present and draft a bill and present it to this House. But a lot of the bile in this issue would not be present had the process been different. It came upon us, this bill, out of the blue. The manner of this bill's emergence, the process to which it got and by which it got before Parliament, needs to be publicised. It is why many fair-minded Kiwis feel confused. They're confused because Ms Wall and her supporters have not told them how it happened. Why didn't they, up front, go to the last election, on the campaign say, we will introduce same-sex marriage? Instead of using some woolly language like, and I quote, we will review relationship and property law, unquotes. Who up in the gallery thinks that that's what they wanted? The only explanation has to be that they were afraid. They were afraid that their party supporters might not like it. And we can make all the pretentious, glorious statements tonight, but in the end, it's what the people think. In fact, Ms Wall, sad to say, wasn't even up front with her own party. The normal process in the Labour Party is for members, I'm coming on with the facts here, is for members' bills to be taken to the Labour's Whip's office, for the Labour Whip to lodge after it is approved by the Labour caucus the bill. That's the process every party follows. And it has to be followed. It has to be followed because the system will not operate without it. But Ms Wall didn't. It is a fact. Make all the statements they like now, but the first the Labour leader's office knew was seeing it on the list of bills lodged. And that's a fact. So tell us, why wasn't the Labour Whip's office and caucus told first, before the bill was lodged? I am getting it from the best of authority that that's what happened. After the event. That's true. After the event. Mr Speaker.
Order.
No,
Order.
Yes. So you were in the Whip's office? No, you weren't.
Order.
That's the fact. No, but my evidence is that of somebody who was. and suggest that the Labour Party was hijacked on this issue. Ms Wall, what do the people of Manawatu think? What do the people out there in South Auckland at Manurewa think? Well, out of silence now. But this is about democracy and representation. And that is why so many Labour supporters are telling us they support our referendum stance, because they feel they've never been asked, that somehow they've been left out, even more think that somehow they have been cheated. This is supposed to be a democracy. This is supposed to be a place where the people's voice matters. This is supposed to be a parliament where one will be proud to face up to their caucus and say, I think this bill should come before Parliament. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That is what they're saying now, because they couldn't say anything else. In the same ways that many national members over there who are going to vote for this bill know full well that the so-called protection for religious dissidents, where they are celebrants or elsewise, is not in this legislation. That if a church so deems someone's objection to be wrong, then that person could be punished. That's all they asked for. Is that too much for that to happen? That's why we call this House the House of Representatives, representing not ourselves, but the people. And here we are as a parliament about to circumvent any expression of public opinion yet again. Why? Do they think that if the public is asked, they might lose? I don't know. But I am prepared to trust the public. I don't wish to hear from polls. I want to know what the public exactly think. On Campbell Live tonight, I think the poll that they had, strange as it was, and I don't think it is remotely scientific, it had 78% no, 22% yes. What say they're wrong by 20%? The question is, what do the public think? And why are there so many people in this parliament prepared when it suits them to circumvent the public's will when all the bile and venom of this issue could not have been in Parliament had we asked New Zealanders, well, what do you think? Shortly we go to Anzac Day. It's about democracy. And it's about an inclusive democracy that they were fighting, not just one vote every 3 years. And that's my point. We're prepared to respect, as a party in New Zealand First, that we have many divergent party views within the party. We respect that. That is why we are prepared to all compromise and say, as one group, well, let's ask New Zealanders, for after all, they should be the finer arbiter. This is a rule not for us. It is a law for them. We object to the people being taken for granted. We object to the view that we are here and we have temporary hold of the reins, and what Joe Public thinks is of no import whatsoever. For those who wish to ignore this message, then let me give this clear warning. There is a day of reckoning coming electorally. The manner of this vote tonight, laugh now and cry later. The manner of this vote tonight is a game shifter and will be reflected in the next election results. There are some issues that dissipate and there are some issues that stay around a long time. All around New Zealand tonight and the next few days, people will be saying, well, if that's the way they think, that our view does not matter, then I will never, ever vote for them again. And if one looks at the huge social and economic issues this country presently faces and the desperate need for better solutions to them, then some in this House would have seriously sacrificed their colleagues and their party for a narrow, undemocratic, worthy or unworthy, I don't know, expression. And when the political wilderness years come, don't say you weren't warned.
Order. Order. I call the Honourable